Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Natchitoches Parish School Board monthly meeting. It is April the 8th, 2021, 5 p.m. I want you to silence all of your cell phones as not to disrupt our decorum of our meeting. Also, if you are speaking to an agenda item, if you would complete the paper that's in the back so that we can entertain any agenda item that you would like to speak to. And remember that you would have 3 minutes to speak to that agenda item and hand it toward the front. We're going to ask that Mr. Eugene Garner is going to do our prayer, and Mr. Emil McTwire is going to do our pledge of allegiance.
Will you bow your heads, please? And today, when we pray, we're going to ask a special prayer for our secretary. You know, just lost her husband in this past week. So we'll remember her and her family and all, and lift them up. Father, we just come to you today. We ask you, Father, to pour out your blessings upon this meeting. Father, we ask you for this special need of this family. They just lost this loved one, Father. We ask you to comfort them and guide them in the next few days as they face what they have to face, Lord. Father, we ask you to conduct this meeting tonight. Help us to have the best interests of the students and the teachers and faculty and staff at heart, Lord. We ask you to move in a mighty way in all of this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Mr. McGuire? Here. Mr. Benefield?
Here.
Mr. Garner?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Present.
Ms. Pedro? Here. Ms. Willis? Ms. Broadway?
Here.
Ms. McGaskey? Ms. Palmer?
Here.
Ms. Bell?
Here.
We have a quorum. Before we get started, I'd like to suspend the rule and add an agenda item. That agenda item will be
I move that we add the agenda item that would include allowing Mr. Wascom to send out bids for locks for schools, replacing locks
And external doors.
and external doors.
I will second that motion.
all right. Any,
You're going to have to go a little slower. Remember, I must do this. I must do it. Can you repeat it, please?
Yes, I move that we suspend the rules so we can add the agenda item to allow Lee Wascom to submit or put out for bid locks and doors for schools, school campuses.
and that is so that we can secure
Secure the
the
property.
properties.
Not saying they're unsecure for anyone wanting nefarious purposes.
Seconded by Mr. Garner.
Is there any comments or questions? All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay? Ayes have it. We're going to give over to our superintendent at this particular time.
Well, good afternoon. Much shorter superintendent report and a lot more fun of a superintendent report. We're gonna, I know your items show 1 through 3. We're actually gonna start off with our kid superintendent candidates because we know we're a little crowded in here and we don't want to hold you during this whole time. So, Ms. Paris, if you can come to the microphone and do your presentation, please.
All right. Hey, everyone. So a few weeks ago, we sent out a search for our new NPSB Kids Superintendent. Our principals and teachers nominated students who they felt would be the best choice to fill the shoes of Dr. Eloy in our upcoming social media campaign. We had 16 students submit videos introducing themselves, and Dr. Eloy, Mr. Wascom, Ms. Page, and myself sat down and watched each one. And let me just tell y'all, these videos were so amazing and creative and funny. And we are just so proud of all of the hard work that each and every one of our students put into making these videos so special. We want to congratulate Amson Posh from ELAB on being named NPSB's Kid Superintendent for the year. Amsden is going to be the face of our newest campaign, which is called Come See Our Progress. This campaign is an ongoing campaign that will consist of multiple videos showcasing all of the amazing things we have happening in Natchitoches Parish schools this year. To give y'all an example, right before the meeting, we released a video acknowledging Timothy Washington, who is a student in the AMT program at CLTCC. And those are the type of videos you'll be seeing
And what
throughout
school did he
this.
come from?
He came from Natchitoches Central. No,
Lakeview.
Lakeview. I apologize. But, I have way too many names in here to look at. But I'm just really excited to be a part of this campaign. We're going to work really, really hard on it. We're so excited to work with Amsden. And all of these students, we are just so proud and want to thank y'all again for y'all's participation. I can't stress enough how wonderful their videos were, and I wish y'all could all see them because they were just great. And we are going to be using them throughout the year for different videos and projects. So we have them here in the audience, and I just would like to give them a round of applause. For a picture real quick, and then I have some certificates for y'all. You want to come forward? Y'all just gonna come
Yeah, just
right over here. Like him.
Can you spell young man's name?
Amsden, A-M-S-D-N.
Miss Parrish, are you calling their names individually?
Yes. It's A-M-S-D-E-N-P-A-S-C-H.
So if you'll just call them while we're getting up here. Y'all come on up.
Okay, Alyssa, Carnage, yes, here you go. Kinley,
Y'all just get in the line right here. We'll take it.
okay, Amsden. Congratulations. Beck, Ileana Hawkins, Genesis Condi,
Here, Genesis. Stay right up here.
E.A. Reynolds, Janiyah Harris, Jolene Seaman. Do y'all want to scoot over this way?
Yeah, so we have all the young people on the platform with the superintendent sort of scrunched together.
Okay, y'all scrunch together. Scrunch, scrunch, scrunch.
Chloe Hoffman, she's not here.
Okay.
Nikia, Peyton Hilaire, Rhett Manuel. Thank you. Ricky Isaac. He's not here. He's not here. Shelby Gallion. Oh, hold on. And Victor Ford.
All right, let's give him another round.
Everybody ready? Let's play. 1, 2, 3.
If everybody could look this way, please. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank y'all. Give him another round of applause. Amsden, are you going to finish the superintendent report? We'll probably be a little quicker.
Yeah, you can get from no Corey. You got her email? Yeah, she can get it off of our top secret spot. I let her know you're going to be asking for it. I texted her a minute ago.
Yeah, let's do that. Sorry. Yeah, let's do this whole one. Sorry. So, as our kid superintendent folks are heading out, I am, the reason you don't see this one on the agenda because this one came up somewhat last minute, but it is, I think, so important what we're about to honor. That's Miss Shanita Holman. If she'd come up to the front. As I mentioned to you all Tuesday, Ms. Holman has taken upon herself to log numerous hours, countless hours, on the Tutoring 240 program, and she is our first teacher to take the practice and be reimbursed this year who's gone through the Tutoring 240 program, and I just think she deserves a warm round of applause. Investing in herself and investing in Natchitoches Parish students. Thank you so much. And now we have, I have a roster. So Mr. Gordy, if you'll come on up. We got Mr. Gordy, and we have the entire coaching staff, I think, from Natchitoches Central Basketball. And I wish I was as good as their announcer and I could do this like we were at a game, but we have Mr. Sean LaCour, number 11, Mr. Darius Young, number 12, Mr. Tim Curtis, number 10, Mr. Gerald Williams, number 23, Mr. Jaden Hare, 24, and y'all correct me if I mess up anyone's names because y'all are too important to mess this up, Mr. Dalen Davis, number 20, Mr. Justin Aaron, number 5, Mr. Devin Elair, number 3, Mr. Kalen DeMars, number 25, Mr. Tyler Johnson, number 44, Mr. David Cross, number 21. Is it David?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that, David. David Cross, 21, Joe McGuire, number 30, Marlon Russell, number 22, Brian Young Jr., number 15, and then we also have DeMartavius Edmondson, Cameron Davis, Logan Smith, Joe Durden, and Travis Rachel, and then obviously Coach Sepulveda, Coach Coleman, Coach Burton, and Coach Usselton. I always do this to you, Coach, I'm sorry. But Coach Usselton. And I know that they did that to you down in Lake Charles too, so I'm just as bad. Just on a personal note, guys, I've never been a big basketball guy, and I apologize for that, but I had a blast. An absolute blast watching y'all's coaches, because I don't know if you ever go to the games, but
We tried.
they get a little animated out there. And it was an honor, an absolute honor to watch y'all this season, and y'all represented Natchitoches Parish amazingly. And I've only been here for 11 months, but the pride was swelling watching y'all. So congratulations on a season, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gordy and let him say a few words.
I can't tell y'all how proud I am of these guys. I've been all over the state of Louisiana following these guys and Natchitoches Central basketball, and I've been down to Lake Charles, I think it's 6 or 7 times with them, but this time was a very special one. To get there, Sean LaCour hit a last-second shot. I thought, guys, I hate to admit it, but I thought we were done. I'm sorry. If I remember right, we brought the ball in with 12 seconds left and dribbled down, went in, came back out, and Sean got over on the side, hit a 3 with 3.5 seconds left, and the place went wild. And so that got us down there, and we won game 1, and then laid our hearts out on game 2. But these guys here, they champs in my heart anytime. Thank you, guys.
Trying to get out of the picture.
Yes, sorry about that. Okay, can everybody look at me, please? Parents got yours? Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks, guys.
Well, I'm telling y'all, this is a lot more fun than Tuesday night already. Oh, thank y'all again. Thank you, Mr. Gordon. And now, a little bit change of pace. I thought it was important. Miss Julie Wright, head of our federal programs, who she doesn't like attention, but y'all know she's nothing short of amazing what she does over there. And I wanted her to give y'all a brief synopsis of the federal funding that's coming our way, because it's very you know, people are gonna hear that we're getting so many millions of dollars, but I wanted her to explain a little bit of the strings attached and the allowable stuff and the non-allowable stuff, for lack of a better term. So, Ms. Wright.
Yeah, so many millions. That's a tough act to follow. I'm sorry. I'm not, nobody's gonna be clapping. And
Can
I'm
you
not
dunk?
gonna be- Yeah, no, I don't dunk.
Okay.
I can't jump. But, I've given you a purple folder that has, 2 documents in it. The first one is, this one is just a PowerPoint slides of allowable things that you can spend money on. Because I think that I hear a lot of things, I listen to the meeting. There's a lot of things coming up and great ideas and everything, but I wanted you to look and see what is allowable. Because you're talking about federal dollars. And so I know that I attend law conferences all week. I did one today, 2 hours, all on how to spend this money and what not to do with this money. And it's every week that I'm doing this. But the other one is just a summary of what we've gotten so far. And I think this one is pretty much going to tell you some things. The first set of money that we got was the CARES Act. And we call it ESSER 1. Louisiana got almost $287 billion. And we got $2,967,000 in formula funds. And I wanted to show you what we spent this money on, because this money is already spent. All the money under ESSER 1 is gone. So for the formula funds, we bought technology. We're now 1-to-1 with extra devices on hand for breakage. We bought laptops, headphones, and things of that sort that all fall within helping us with virtual online learning and then teaching within the classroom. We also recovered some funds, as you know, for long-term substitutes during that March, April, and May time that we shut down. We were able to recoup that money and put it back into general. So that was something that we were able to do. We bought hotspots, at least 100, I think, right, that have been placed all over the parish so that parents can have easier access to internet. And we also did some things for sanitation. We put hand-free water dispensers in the schools. We still need more of those. We also put some thermal walkthroughs that I think are helping with the temperature checks and everything, and we need more of those in some of our schools too. We bought foggers, and we bought sanitation supplies, such as the hand sanitizing things, and then stuff to clean the rooms and the floors and the desks and everything in the schools. The other set of funds that we got under CARES Act were called incentive funds. And incentive funds could only be spent on curriculum or things that dealt with classroom instruction. It could not be spent on technology. So the main thing that we got $309,000. The main thing that we did for the high school, we did Career Compass for small group mentoring for high school kids for preparing for graduation. We did graduate support coaching and some parental engagement things. We bought curriculum for all the virtual learning students. And then we bought assistive technology and supplies for virtual learning with our desk kids. And we also bought applications that would support IEP services that we needed to provide while we were closed. The third set of funds were the government funds. They're called GER funds. And those things can only be spent on technology and things to increase connectivity. So we spent that on broadband services, more of the connectivity issues. Some of it was, I think we're paying HughesNet in Clutcherville to provide internet to a hotspot so that children that live in Clutcherville have a location that they can go to. That was the only person that would provide the services in that area. And then we also bought some more iPads just to help round out our 1-to-1, which we are easily. The second and the third set of funds were dropped into our accounts on March the 30th. As of now, the ESSER 2, which is Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, we call it CRSA, we received $5,221,310. That's 50% of our allocation. We received that on March the 30th. We'll receive the remainder in January of 2022. The period, we have until 9/30/23 to spend that money, and we can go back and request refunds for anything that we've spent starting on 3/13/20. So if there's like we've talked about, one of the things we've talked about is when teachers had quarantine, we could pay for the when they're quarantined and request money back for that. We could request money for their salary while they're having to quarantine. Those are just some examples of some things that we could go back and request that we've already done. The third set of money, that money again is available until 9/30/23. So we still have, you know, all of 21, 22, and pretty much most of 23 to utilize that money. The third set of money is the largest pool of money. It's called the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA. And that money also, we had $4,690,528 dropped into our account on March the 30th. That is only 20% of the money that we're going to be getting. So we have another, my calculations, another at least $18 million coming to us, okay? That 20% can only be spent on what I have listed below. It can only be spent on evidence-based interventions that are going to address academic learning losses. It can be spent on examples, high-dosage tutoring. There are companies that are now advertising one-on-one tutoring. We could purchase something like that if we wanted to. High-quality, robust summer learning. We can pay for all of our summer programs with this money. I think including, I'm asking for clarity, but I think including transportation and food. It can also be spent on extended school years, if you wanted to extend your school year. And it can be spent on comprehensive after-school programs, which we already are using direct student services to provide after-school programs. We provide them this year at Natchitoches Central. We were providing it at East, and we were providing it at Marthaville, and we were providing it at one other school last year, but we had to close it down because of the phases. But when we got to the phase in the last month or two, we started it back up at Natchitoches Central. So Natchitoches Central has about 7 teachers that are working 3 days a week after school with remediation with children, so that are attending the school. So that's what we can use that money on, and that's the only thing that we can use that money for that we've gotten right now. It can't be used on anything else. So I gave you this. I'm not going to go over this because it's just a lot, but the way the slides run is there is like an example of what is allowable, and it's a broad example, but on the next slide it will give you examples of what falls in that. For example, the very first allowability is anything that's allowed under ESSA, anything that's allowed under IDEA, anything that's allowed under the Adult Education Family Literacy, anything under Carl Perkins, and anything under McKinney-Vento, which is homeless. And then what does that mean? There are some examples on the next slide, slide 3. So there are, I think, 15. There are 15 different allowabilities that ESSER 2 can be used for. ESSER 3, there are a couple of these in here that will not be allowable for ESSER 3. Okay, because ESSER 3 is more like, okay, we have provided you the support to get through the pandemic. Now we want to help you with the actual recovery. You're moving back to face-to-face learning, which is the push, and we're one of the only states. Our state has been recognized as the 7th best, greatest state towards moving back to face-to-face learning. A lot of other states still have not moved back to face-to-face learning. So they're at that place where we're wanting you to shift back to where things are normal again. And what are you going to do with this? How are you going to plan for this happens if it happens again? How are you going to make sure that your buildings are easy for you to keep sanitized and safe for children? And then what are you going to do about your learning losses? Because we took about 4 or 5 months of education away from our children. We moved to online, but it's not really the same as being face-to-face. I mean, everybody did the best they could possibly do, but, you know, we are seeing gaps. So, do you have any questions? I know it's a lot, but I wanted to give it to you. And if you need, you know, you can always contact me. But if you have any questions that come up, I'm right across in that building over there. And if you need me to come back, I can always come back. Nothing?
We appreciate you.
Thank you
Oh,
so
thank
much.
y'all.
This is great.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a great night. Thank you.
That is the entirety of my report.
All right. Old business?
Do we need to, we added the agenda item, but we haven't done anything with it.
No,
Okay.
no, it was on the consent. Approval of consent.
Okay.
Right.
Under old business, the matter of the Gleacherville school donation. So I was going to present Joe Stamey to speak on that. Hello, everybody. The folks over at Fire District Protection 1 were under the initial belief that their meeting after our Monday meeting was going to be taking place on Wednesday. They were mistaken. Their next meeting is the following Wednesday on the 13th of April. That's when they'll have to meet, and they will themselves first have to consider their own resolution to present to us before we can act. So we've had to delay our action until they've had their meeting. They intend on doing that meeting. They're going to have a pre-meeting to ensure that they are crossing their T's and dotting their I's and have their own legal counsel review any proposed documents. That will take place so that they can evaluate the entire proposal so that they can get their resolution in order. Present a copy of that to us before our next meeting for presentation to you for your review and consideration. We'll have, in essence, a cooperative endeavor agreement and deed and resolution for your review and consideration, and we'll need authority for Dr. Eloy to be able to act on behalf of the board, to be able to enter into those agreements. Any questions?
I have a question on behalf of, I've been talking to some folks. What is the difference between what we are doing and like a 199-year lease type of situation that some of these groups engage in?
Well, number one, if we keep it, therefore by leasing it, we maintain ownership. By maintaining ownership, we incur all the liability exposure. If someone should become injured, that could come back on us. If somebody is exposed to an environmental or health hazard, that could come back on us. The value, since this is in essence a discarded property that's not applicable for our regular use anymore, the benefit to us keeping that is outweighed by those risks of keeping it. Plus the cost of maintenance, we would have to continue to insure it. The answer to a lot of risk exposure questions, first of all, is insurance. Secondly is more insurance, and third is even more insurance. And while you can actually get all that insurance, you can almost become insurance poor in view of the cost of that coverage. And in the event there is something that occurs, and we know there's already been some incidents, if someone is a leaseholder and is out there using those premises, then it's out of our control. We don't have the ability to set the standards and rules on how that facility should be operated. So if we're going to own it, we can do that and consider a long-term lease. It just would appear that the advantages are outweighed by that. Now what we can do, and what I've incorporated in the most recent document, is in the event this organization should ever abandon the property, that property would give us at least the first option to take it back. We don't have to, because we may not want it. But if they abandon it, we would have an option that we could exercise, take it back. Moreover, if they should ever try to sell it, incorporated a proposal, a revision in which they would first have to give us a right of first refusal, meaning that before they can sell it to anyone else, they have to offer it back to us and I put the price of $1,000. So that's not something they're likely going to do. So we've built in some motivational tools, if you will, that will hopefully motivate them to take care of their business as they've represented, but also to protect us in the event of any risk or exposures.
And what I would propose and stuff, I would like for the add in there, talk with Mr. Wascom, that they leave, that the buses can turn around there, because that's where the buses do with the shuttle route. And I doubt if they would stop it, but I'd like it in there that we always have where the kids can switch buses right there. Because when they do, the high school kids and kids that come to the magnet and the lab get on a bus and come to Natchitoches, and that's the best location. If we don't have that, we'd have to find somewhere else for them to do it if they would stop us from doing it.
Absolutely, we'll include an access option for us.
You know, they can turn around the buses there.
I'll make a note of that. We'll include that. That won't be a problem.
Okay.
Mr. Jamie, on this, we were
considering a resolution authorizing the superintendent to donate the school. If something should happen, do we have to have the Natchitoches Fire District in what we do as far as adopting a resolution? In case something happens, that he could find another public entity and he still has authorization to sign the papers?
We could do that. The best way for us to approach it, it would seem to me, is if we've got a target party to take primary responsibility for accepting the property, is to name that entity as it is. However, as I indicated, I've just added an additional provision. If they should back out or abandon it, it comes back to us, or at least we have the option to take it back. We may not want it back. Once we get rid of this and it's no longer a risk to us, either in terms of liability risk or environmental risk and health hazard risk, assuming there are any, that might not be something we want to get back in the business of being responsible for or potentially responsible for. But in terms of the party that's been identified so far, that's the only proposal that has been, brought before the board as I understand it. If there's another party that is being considered, then we might want to go into executive session at some point in time and evaluate that.
So do we need to table this, or do we need to bring it up just on the old business for next month?
It was more for me being here to give y'all a point of information as it relates to the fact that they haven't been able to take care of their business yet.
Okay.
I think they'll leave it as old business till they get they built in the road.
No action tonight.
Yeah, no
They
worries.
just do it.
But, Mr. President, entertain another old business item. We have a parking lot down the street that, I think we've been working on. Any updates on that?
Yeah, we're still working on it. We've had some encouraging conversations with the person who is most directly responsible or at least affected. And she is largely on board with what we have discussed in terms of trying to work out something that will be amenable to her and to the board. And I'm encouraged by those developments.
Right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Middlefield, for bringing it up to
Well, we've got our attorney here. Everybody's here, let's do it.
Anything else?
any other old business.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you. I know everyone has probably looked over the consent agenda. If Mr. Wascom wanted to come up and just speak on what we added to the agenda, the consent agenda, you can, about the locks.
Okay, you want me to speak to the thing we added?
Yes.
Yes, we just realized that some principals and meetings and a few campuses that we have some doors that we need to finally finish off the security isn't where it needs to be, and we want to rework these. So I'm asking for money to, a permission to bid to get these doors fixed. And it's 2 campuses in particular, and there's actually, I think, one other one I need to go re-examine to see if it's already been fixed.
I would offer that, Mr. Harris.
We're just gonna take it off the agenda.
You open
You want?
the
The whole consent?
The whole consent.
Yeah, the whole consent, okay, all right. It's been motioned by, second by, Mr. Dandy. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor, aye? Aye. All those opposed, nay? Ayes there. Right, Dandy.
Item number 1, we have no appropriate action on bids. Item number 2, transportation report, we received that from Mr. Matthews.
I got a question on that. Is any of them?
I don't think
they're not here.
Cause I had a call today that, say a couple of buses, the air conditioning is not working on the buses, and so we need to address that.
Do you have a route number?
No, they didn't give me the route number, but they say they have turned it in and they're waiting on parts or whatever for the buses, but one said they've been waiting about a month for parts, and if we wait that long, then these buses still under warranty, they need to be swapping them out, because it's getting ready to get hot with these kids on the buses.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've received a complaint basically about
Same
the
thing?
same
It
situation.
was, they had several
Parts
buses
being
with the air
made,
conditioning out.
requests being made, and they're not.
I will tell y'all, it is hard to get parts right now throughout the United States in all areas because of COVID. Some of them not manufacturing a lot, like, even when we had to fix the bus with Lakeview, it took, almost an additional 60 days longer than normal to get the part that was broken in.
And
That may be what they're counting.
I know all about it down at the body shop, you know, if you got a F-150, don't wreck it, because you be, that's all I can tell you, be without it for 2 months, especially front end parts. Yeah, we catching the devil with parts, and that's probably the same with them.
That's probably what it is,
Yeah.
yeah.
They told us if they miss 1 week, that's 6 weeks behind to get their parts, but they missed that 1 week at the end of the factory. But that's what they told us. Yeah. But just check on that with Dad and see what it is or whatever, and if even, but all our buses should be still under warranty. So if it, would that get a raw bus sale or swap us one with air conditioning, because we don't need the kids on the buses in the next few weeks. The hottest it's supposed to be getting.
Okay, I'll talk to Alfred.
Okay.
Anything else on the, transportation?
Item number 3, we received a tax commission report from Mr. Wascom.
Were there any further questions?
Item number 4, budget update. I move we approve the budget update.
Second.
And motion by Mr. Daniels, second by Mr. McGuire. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All those opposed, nay? Ayes have it.
Item number 5, received a maintenance report, and I think,
Mr. Jocelyn is here
Jocelyn's
today, so I want to hand it off to him.
Well, good afternoon, y'all.
How you doing?
All right. Maintenance report. Yeah, I know a lot of it is actually cut and pasted, because a lot of the same things go on every month. A lot of it is added. And just, not sure what we're asking here, except that I'll kind of run down some of the newest items, the things that are, we do the same things every month in a lot of places. We do PMCS, that's preventative maintenance checks and services. It's a military term, in case some of you don't know what that is, but that's what it's all about. We do that in food service equipment, we do that on air conditioning equipment, and things that we can handle. Now, of course, we have store services, and they're under my direction too, and they do the PMCS things on all the big air conditioning equipment. Right now, we're doing yard equipment. We got to mow yards. I got 0 turns, all kinds of 0 turns. Tractors are last. We get them all serviced out and ready. One of the things that I intend to do soon is start having a little bit of training with some of the custodians. You'd be surprised how many of them don't even know what a grease gun is. So that tractor sits out there and gets not used. And when it does get used, they just get on it and they run it. And they get off of it and they park it. And they don't even bother to check it. All they don't bother to do is fittings, a lot of things they don't bother to do. I think it's not education. It's uneducated. They just don't know. They don't even know what a grease gun is. So, or how to check the oil. They know how to turn starter and make it go, and when it dies, they call us and we gotta get going to come pick it up. Or we gotta take it to Goldman, or whatever the situation is. If we don't have in-house people with the experience or capabilities to do those major repairs, yeah, they can put on a belt and maybe change a spark plug, maybe, but you know, that's what we end up with. So right now we're working on maintenance on all of the rolling equipment out there to try to make these things as dependable as they can and get these yards mowed. Which brings about another topic. I don't have a machine at the shop. our machine at the shop is in its own shop getting repaired, and they're having trouble getting parts. They've been waiting on parts forever for that thing. It happens to be a Cub Cadet instead of a John Deere, so Golan doesn't have it, Weeks does. And they've been waiting on parts for that thing. So our facility down there, food service, maintenance, and bus, we're looking kind of ragged, but we're gonna do something about it as quick as we can. Gotta get this thing cut. And I know we're working on hiring an employee to help us get all that done. Another thing that I've got that's kind of in my, gets stuck in my throat is junk. We got junk back there, all kinds of junk back there. That stuff has come from schools, just salvage items. And I know we have protocol, a way to have to get rid of it. We gotta auction it off. We can't just give it away or sell it. We gotta go the right routes to get it done. That's another thing that this gentleman or young lady that we hire to take care of warehousing and maintenance items can actually use a vehicle and drive a trailer and pull these things off to auction and get these things done right, keep up the disposal paperwork, and that's what I'm looking for in that. So that would definitely be a help, something I need. We have storm damages. Today I spent time with an insurance gentleman. He's an adjuster. Going over stuff that has to do with the freeze damages. The freeze damages that happened at Natchitoches Central, freeze damages that happened at Lakeview. Little bit at Goldana, wasn't much, but all over the place we had freeze damages. And going over that with him, trying to establish as high a dollar thing as we can so that we can maybe be able to collect a little bit of insurance on it. Anything helps. Another thing we do, we provide air filters for all of the air handler units. Now what I did, since the COVID thing, I've stepped that up. We were changing filters every 2.5 months on air handlers in the schools. And that's about what it amounted to, except this time of the year when the pollen got heavy, was enough. With the COVID thing, we are replacing these pleated filters and all these air handlers monthly. And we're using a disinfectant spray on the filters, which does get introduced into the ductwork, into the air handlers, and helps mitigate any dirty things that happen to be in there wanting to grow. That's what it's all about. That's what we're trying to do on our part to help with whatever else is going on in the schools as far as sanitization. I had a light added at the end of the Echo-Ride parking lot back there. They were having problems with it was too dark. I was afraid somebody was going to jump out and get them, or they're going to trip and fall down, break the crown, whatever the story was, but it was dark and they needed, so we had a light added at the end of the parking lot, which they have helped a lot, which has helped a lot. We did emergency repairs at Lakeview on the gator hole, all that freeze damage, because I had asked Rob, the store, to make sure that all of the air conditioners on BAS were calling for heat during this freeze winter storm that we had. And he did exactly what he was asked to do. But what he could not do was get access into places like the gator hole, which is standalone and has no BAS. Now I was just looking over the POs. We have POs out for things to be added, BAS to be added. Some of them were forgotten when engineers had work done. Some of them have never been there. We will now have control of every air conditioner in every school once this is complete. Every air conditioner in every school from computer. Great. Instead of having to depend on somebody to turn it up, somebody to turn it down. The other control we'll have on that is energy saving. Teachers love to walk to a thermostat and turn it wide open. I'm cold, turn it all the way up to 90. I'm hot, turn it all the way down to 60. Well, what happens if you do that at home? It run in that mode, and it gets hotter, colder, it just wastes electricity. We, in the schools that already have a BAS, we have a window You can't be turned above a certain amount, you can't be turned below a certain amount. There's where the energy savings comes in. They set back at night, they do not turn off. So there's a setback point. When that thermostat becomes 3 o'clock in the afternoon, school's done, it automatically sets back per how they've had it set up. So now it went from 72 degrees to 78 degrees. Now when it gets up to 78 degrees, it's gonna come on anyway. It's not gonna let it get up to 90 degrees in that building. So in the morning at 7 o'clock, when it comes back on, it doesn't have to run to get it back down there. It's already there. But the energy savings is tremendous on that. So Lee, I thank you for helping me get that done. This is something that's been needed to be done for a long time.
Thank you for, I think this has been exactly what the board wants. And
right, and you're doing an excellent job. Mr. Johnson, let me ask you this though. If a school has a meeting or something like that, it's called after hours thing, would they have to contact you all?
It is a special event, and what I ask them to do is, and we've done this in the past, and they still do, even when it comes time to use, some of the schools use it for voting precincts, and it's on Saturdays. Well, okay, they get us a work order. Store picks up that work order. They make that adjustment for that window of time, for that day. Once that is done, it's past time, it goes away, it doesn't stay there. They don't have to go back and mess with it. You just make that adjustment one time, then Friday the 13th it's gonna do it, and Friday the 13th it does it. And it ain't gonna do it on the next Friday the 13th, that's next year. So they set up that way and they work. This new Niagara system they've got is so much more efficient and so much better than the old Tracer 100 and Tracer Summit systems they had. This is working out really, really nice. It gives the guys that work on them a diagnostic. They can sit down and look at this and say, this is not cooling, or this is not heating the way I want it to work. And they can literally, using what sense and background they have in the HVAC field, look at it and say, that's probably a pump. So let's go over here and check that. Verify. Oh, that pump's not running. We got to go out here and fix it. So they already know what they got to go do before they ever get out there to do it. This is a very, very valuable tool. And again, I appreciate us getting this lined up. It helps with maintenance a lot. Let's see, what else have we done? We've been dealing with FEMA information, trying to help get the monies lined up on that. Every school has had its own things. There's plumbing issues. Some things are bigger than the people that we have in the maintenance department. Some things are just bigger than that. They don't have the ability to unstop large sewer systems. They don't have the ability to rebuild large mixing valve systems, things like that. And we got to hire contractors from outside to do that. Most of the time I use Core Mains, and they're real good, and they're real good to respond. And they do me a good job. There are others, and we have used some of the others. Electrical, we've kind of fallen short on the electrical. We don't have any real good electrical contractors local other than Sunscreen, and I don't use them any more than I have to because they're kind of pricey. And then when Stephen hired me, he said, "Oh, would you save me money?" And I've tried. I don't like to spend money, but sometimes you just have to stick your neck out and let them go with it. There are some food service equipment. A lot of it we can take care of, and we try to, and we do. There's some of it that is bigger than the guys that we have to work on it, and again, I have to get people like Ken and out of Shreveport to do it. But I have chosen the people that do the best quality work. You get some people and they just want to come in and make $1 and get out, and they have done nothing but take our money and left us with something that's going to break down again next month, and we have to do it all over again. So sometimes paying a little bit more actually saves us a lot. I know everybody's got a copy of this summary, and I know it's kind of vague, but if there's any questions on here or anything, please throw them out there at me. I'll do the best I can to answer.
Mr. Johnson, you providing the fuel in almost every school, especially the town schools. For the two-strokes, are you providing it, or is that the school buying it?
I'm buying that in the cans that are pre-mixed. And the reason I'm doing that is our custodians, I don't want to talk bad about anybody. I'm not going to go there that way, but they don't or won't or have not taken the time to learn how to mix fuel properly. And then when they do, it gets lost. These cans are there, it's already properly mixed. I don't have any problem with two-stroke equipment burning up because somebody poured just gasoline in it. And, you know, my boat motor and yours probably does mix it itself, but these little small two-stroke machines don't do it. And so,
Well, are they trained on it to do it?
they're not trained, they don't, no, they're
But you're
not.
fixing to start doing some training.
Well, we're gonna start doing some training on mowing equipment, how to maintain it and how to do some things.
Actually, this gas is really good. It's almost has an equality of having Stabil in it too.
But it is.
When you pull that string, it's gonna crank.
One of the other things I've asked them to do is to only use non-ethanol fuel in the mower.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Non-ethanol fuel doesn't gum up carburetors. The alcohol in it harbors moisture. It sits there for 2 or 3 weeks at a time with that moisture and alcohol in it making pits in that cast aluminum carburetor. Pits in that cast aluminum carburetor, now it don't run right, and we ended up having a carburetor rebuilt or replaced when all we had to do was pay a little bit more and get the good gasoline. I use it in my four-wheeler, and in my boat, and in my lawnmower, and I don't have any problems. That's about the best testimonies I can get with it. So, you know, I'm doing the best I can for quality.
Nothing better than a good gasoline
It's a
story.
good investment.
Well, let me ask a question to the board, people who already been on here. Why are the custodians doing yard work?
So,
Well, in their job description, when they're hired.
But they're custodians to take care of the building, they have to go outside and do the
It,
yard work?
yeah, when, I mean, that's, I'll be honest with you, Ms. Palmer, that's every school in every state in the nation.
Yeah, we've been doing that for 40 years.
But I will say this, and I don't think this was Mr. Jocelyn's intent, or our custodians are amazing, and, you know, I think of.
And I think if they're trained properly.
Yeah,
they can
no,
do it.
but the problem is, you know, maintenance is doing stuff, who can train them, so I love hearing that they're going to be offering some of that training, but it's in no way, and I know Mr. Jocelyn didn't say it in this way, but I just want to be sure everyone knows, our custodians have been nothing short of amazing this year. I think about one gentleman at Magnet, and who's just been doing
everything,
yes ma'am. And so I want to make sure everyone in the listening audience that knows that we value our custodians because they do just an amazing job.
Well, there's no doubt they do tremendous things. They've got a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
And so, you know, maintaining this equipment is kind of falls a little bit short of what they really even know is maybe even their responsibility. Because they do, you're right, they do a tremendous job at what they do, but there's so many moving parts of what they do.
Yeah, and to I think what Ms. Palmer was maybe alluding to is we can't get upset with them if they don't have the training.
Yeah.
Right, but
Well, the people that are being hired, do they have certification, those maintenance people? Are they certified, or you hire from the VOTEC and they have certification, in maintenance?
The maintenance people I've gotten right now, I've only hired one since I've been here. She is certified in her trade. The rest of the maintenance people I've inherited, and I have no idea what they have. One of those guys does have an HVAC certification, which means he took a test and knows how to handle Freon. It doesn't mean he knows how to work on anything, but that means he knows how to handle Freon. He's passed that test, has that certification. Other than that, I don't know anything about any of them. I got 2 good plumbers, I know that. Mr. Fred Jackson's one of the best plumbers I know. He can, but things are bigger than him.
Training that's needed.
Training is needed.
Well, let me just say this, I do know that Mr. Jocelyn had a training one day that I came over to, and it was great because they had an opportunity to ask questions and things like that. But we have been COVID and things like that, so I'm thankful to know that this training will continue. But it's a breath of fresh air to hear you explained everything, and that's all we wanted. And we know that you know what you're talking about, and I hope that the people who are listening know that we have somebody who knows what they're doing in maintenance, our maintenance department.
We have fallen short this year with asbestos awareness. That is required by DEQ that we do this once a year, and I'm in the process of getting names from the principals of custodians now, so that because they all have to have this refresher course, asbestos awareness. Now, also, I have to have within our system at least 2 people who are certified for pesticide applications that have to go to wherever, either Shreveport or Alexandria, and get that pesticide. Otherwise, right now, if a principal asks me for a sprayer, I can furnish you a sprayer. If they ask me for Roundup or Cornerstone, no, I can't do it. We can't allow you to use it. Until we have somebody that is certified to apply, we can't even let you have it. So what we have to do is we have to have at least 2. Then those 2 have to train our custodians what goes on from there, what they can and can't do. And just basically what it amounts to is we cannot apply any of the pesticides. We have to know what they are. We have to have them listed. We can't apply them any sooner than after the kids leave school. And we have to have it done at least 8 hours prior to them returning to school. And that throws a particular issue on us because custodians leave generally not too awful long after the kids do. They've worked their tails off all day long to get their work done, and they want to go home with their family too. So who's going to be there to do that during that time? Those are things that we have to work out with the principals and their custodians, and well, we're going to have to be able to use pesticides and herbicides at our locations, or we're going to get really, really worried.
So when we're doing PD with our teachers and things like that, can we set up some things like that with you all?
Sure.
Okay.
I got a lot of irons in the fire too, but I don't mind backing up and doing some training. I'm going to go get this training. One way or another, I'm going to go get it too. I got to have at least 2 people. I'm one of them. I'll get one other. But then we've got to set up training. Now, this other thing, back to that asbestos deal, asbestos awareness. We've got to have a facility large enough to get all 40 or 50 custodians in it at one time. We've been doing it traditionally over here in the
Media center.
right over there, media center. I don't think social distancing is going to allow us to do that now. So we've got to make some kind of arrangements to find some kind of a place to do this. And I thought about asking Mr. Gordy about his big space over there at Natchitoches Center, but maybe there's somebody else with other ideas too. We're going to work on that one. That's one of our projects. Anybody else got any questions? I'm working on a second phase of your fence right now. We got that work, that PO came through.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, well, y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Y'all have a fantastic afternoon.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick follow-up that I had a good meeting today with Eugene and Mr. Harris, the 3 principals, 3 principals in District 7, which were Fairview, Goldana, and Lakeview.
Great meeting, man.
And the meeting was great because we were able to take a look at our BRE funds and schedule repairs, which then leads to Michael Johnson's job, or maybe, putting out there. We have $180,000 left over from our bonds, from our bond in District 7 that we passed. We pretty much have just expended all that money, but we have $180,000 left, so we're going to put in some sidewalks. I've already spoken to the engineer. We're going to fix some things, put an awning up, and so we work with that this Tuesday at 9 o'clock. And I wanted to let y'all know that my job is to, keep these things moving so that we can, keep maintenance hopefully to a minimum, because we're keeping it up to date with the engineering. So, anyhow, I'd like to start doing this with all the districts, by the way.
It was an excellent meeting we had today with you and all. And it was, like I was telling Harris, some of the other board members, there was more accomplished today in that 2.5 hours and we could have took months to do otherwise. I think all the principals sat down and told you themselves that out of all their time being here, they've never sat in a meeting and got that much done. And we want to continue this, like you said, on a quarterly basis, to where we'll know what's going on in each school. We'll know, Reverend Harris and myself will know what's going on in our district. When they bring situations to us about repairs or whatever, you know, we can talk about it. And we got a lot done today, and I appreciate you for that.
And it needs to be kept up consistent and followed through. I'd like to say Beverly and Russ, we'd like to have y'all meet as well out there, and then all the city schools and all the representatives from the city schools to meet. I guess also a meal with Beverly and Russ. But all the city schools get together as well and meet on a regular quarterly basis to tell them what, it gives buy-in for your principals and lets them invest as to what's going on with their facilities, and they can keep up with me telling them about a tree or something that I don't see anymore because I'm not there. I'm not living there like that. So, okay.
Mr. Wascom very much gives them a big, mind to dream too. So they are excited.
Well, the one list is this long. We shrink it to what's accomplished. Well, then keep going.
So we're really excited.
Item number 6, the school service report.
I spoke to Ms. Hicks today. She had nothing further to report that was brought up the other day.
Okay. Item number 7, receive, consider approving audit report for June 2024 very invalid, and I'll move that we accept the audit report.
Motion by Ms. Daniel. Second by Ms. Phelps. Any questions? Any concerns? Roll call.
I'll say one thing. We will be selecting a new auditor. This was there last year. We'll be selecting a new auditor shortly. This was the end of their contract.
Roll call.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McCarr?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Reverend Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Guidry?
Yes.
Ms. Willis? Ms. Broadway?
Yes.
Ms. McGoski?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 8 is discuss and consider approving consolidation of school district 6, 8, and 10 to new consolidated district 11.
Can I'd like to start off by saying I think we gave so much detail the other night that some of the important details got lost, and then also rumor and all that. So I'd like to address some things with that. First off, the consolidation we believe is a smart financial endeavor, regardless of the proposed possibility of a third high school. We also want everyone to know that were this to happen, were the consolidation to happen, there would not be one group or one current district pulling more weight than other districts. There's obvious equity that has to occur when you consolidate a district and you're taxing them at the same rate. So there would be complete equality in regards to that. I also want people to know that I know there was a really nice picture put on social media that shows Waterwell Road, and I think people are making the assumption that that is a done deal. I want to assure everyone that this entire process has multiple steps, multiple votes in here, multiple votes of the people, and there's a bit of putting the cart before the horse if we say, oh, we have land on Waterwell Road and we're going to build a high school there. That is a possibility, but we are not at the point where we've even consolidated the districts. We're not at the point where we've selected a piece of land. We're not at the point where we've even said that we are going to officially do this high school. There are a million details to work out, and many of these are going to be worked out at these town halls, which we invite everyone to come to, and I think are going to be very robust and good conversations that will clarify the process and probably enrich the process. But I'm going to say it again for Ms. Roy and everyone to hear, and from the Journal, we want everyone on social media to know that there is no selected site currently. we mention Waterwell Road because it is a possibility. And we own the land, but there are other possibilities. And we want to hear from the people in Marthaville, Clutcheville, and Provençal to hear what their wants, their needs are. We are going to engage with all these community members to ensure that all voices are heard equally, and that we do not start something before we have the full engagement of the community. Any questions about that, or anyone want to add on to that?
Please talk now.
Well, I know there were a lot of people that said, oh, y'all cleared land already. No.
There has been no land cleared.
Okay.
You know, I think in my initial statements, we said Waterwell Road is a possible site. We also have talked about possibility of somewhere on Highway 6. But again, kind of cart before the horse, because the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure everyone's good with consolidation first. And you know, I heard some people say, well, they're just going to do this. And I understand that people have a certain view of this body called the school district or the parish or whatever we call ourselves at different times. And some of the things that people assume we're going to do is we earned from past 100 years. But many of you on this board are new or you know, serving terms that are new, and I'm new and other people are new. And so I want people to realize that just because something was done in the past does not mean it's going to be done the same way now. And I know the integrity of this board and the integrity of these people in here. We want collaboration. We don't want to do things without the community involved. So, you know, I know we're an easy target, and especially, you know, on social media, you want to assume the worst in public entities. But I'm telling you, I have an open door policy. I was on the phone this morning for 30 minutes with a mother who had questions about the LEAP test. That is the type of service we want to provide people. So if you have a question about this, reach out to your board members, reach out to me, reach out to Mr. Wascom, because this is going to be a long haul process, and there's going to be a million questions between now and the end. If we even get to that point, I'll be honest with you, this is going to be a long process, but we have to have the community involved and engaged. This is not something I can do on my own, any of these board members can do on their own, or Mr. Wascom can do on their own.
I have something to say about the school, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but when you're talking about the school, I think it's important and imperative for us to assure the community and about not making this into a segregated or a racial thing, or allowing the school to become a segregation issue, because that's what people are going to believe. I mean, start thinking that if you have this school out in this area and you only have those districts, it's like, how is it going to gel with, you know, most of the students will probably be white. So it's like, okay, will this be a white school and then next century a black school? And I think we need to work on that to make sure that that does not become an issue.
I'm in 1,000% agreement with you. I had, I won't say with who, but a very productive conversation with a gentleman today who I hold in high regard in matters that you're talking. I do not want to be the superintendent that leads Natchitoches Parish into a de facto segregated district. I don't want to do that, and that's part of engaging with the community, because, you know, what I've learned in this job is every decision, even if it's a good decision, has unintended consequences, and sometimes you can't even tell what they are until years later. But that's a major point of discussion that I want to have very open, because a lot of times we walk on eggshells in regards to race, and I think when you do that, nothing gets accomplished. And if we're open and honest about it and say, hey, these are going to be true hurdles for this project, then I have to imagine with 39,000 people in Natchitoches and some really smart folks, we can figure out a way to do this and do it in a way that doesn't hurt anyone and uplifts as many people as possible.
And creates a small school.
Yeah.
That you were talking about.
And I can say this, in speaking to every board member in here, as well as Mr. Wascom, as well as our superintendent. That was one of the things that every last one of them, without me even being in the room with them, that's the one thing they said they did not want. So,
Too many people fought too hard for too long.
Right.
For us to just go back to square one in regards to diversity.
so, and we'll, if this is to happen, we definitely will make sure that that does not happen. Not on our watch, you know.
So agenda item number 8 really needs to be tabled at this time.
Correct.
That's my reading of it.
So
It's mainly to open up to the
Yeah,
public
it's
for
open up
discussion.
discussion, it's not for a vote.
correct.
No.
Yeah.
So we're having those town hall meetings April 20th and 22nd, Province Hall on the 20th,
Right.
Marthville 22nd, 6 p.m. Calucciaville is not, is gonna be on the Province Hall, but they may add one
We
if
might
we
have
get.
one. We're trying to get something there in Natchez.
Okay.
Reverend Harris and me contacted one of the pastor down there to see maybe at the church where they, Natchez, and then the lady hadn't got back with me down in Coachville. And, maybe in the next few months with everything opening up, maybe the churches, one of the Catholic churches with the halls down there might let us have it.
Well, and I think I told Ms. Broadway, if there's smaller groups, individuals, families, I've been to a few coffee clubs in town. If there's groups who want us to come explain kind of our vision, and we will go anywhere. I mean, you don't even have to pay for our lunch. We'll go there and we'll talk to whoever, whenever. And I mean, all you gotta do is call us and we'll put you on the books.
We'll be having plenty of these discussions, you can believe that.
This is an important move in our district. I think this is worth the time.
We tabled item number 8 until further resolution of it. Item number 9, we delayed that until next month also. Because of not because of us, because of the fire department.
Right.
And while we're on tabling, we've kind of tabled number 10 until I get you the paperwork, which I thought was gonna be here by this business, by this meeting.
Okay, that answers that. Good, thank you. New items 11, 12, and 13. Number 11, consider approving increasing summer school hourly pay from $20 an hour to $35 an hour for this year only. And the superintendent commented on that, and I will move that we do that.
Yeah.
And that's being paid, just so y'all know, from that ESSER 3.
Motion by Mr. Danzy and second by Ms. Palmer. Any questions, any comments? All right, let's have a roll call vote on that.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Pedro?
Yes.
Ms. Broadway?
Yes.
Ms. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 12, consider approving increasing the stipend hourly rate from $20 to $25 an hour, and that was what the superintendent also commented on in our meeting Tuesday. And I'll offer that motion.
Second.
The motion by Ms. Danzy, second by Ms. McGaskey. Any comments, any questions?
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Reverend Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Pedro?
Yes.
Ms. Broadway?
Yes.
Ms. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 13, the superintendent also commented on this, to consider approving increasing daily substitute teacher pay increments to the area average. I'll offer that.
I'll second it.
Then motion by Mr. Danzy, second by Mr. Garner. Any questions, any comments? I do have a comment. When you say area average, do you know about what the area average is?
Yes, sir. So, what we looked at is basically every area, I think our current, Ms. Page, please correct me if I'm wrong. The minimum we pay substitutes right now is 50 for a high school, diploma. That to be in line with the area average, it needs to go up to 60. And that's just doing our, I did, and then the highest increment, which is for our certified teachers who just come on a daily basis, that would move up to 90, I believe. Yeah. And so this is really just our principals always have a hard time getting substitutes and also quality substitutes. And this year it's obviously been an even bigger issue. And all of the surrounding parents, some of them have gone, some of them pay $125 a day, and that's a huge jump and not something we can do. But I think we can at least, deal with inflation, because I don't think we've done this in a while, and offer a fair day's wage.
But how much do the retired teachers that come back and stuff, they make like $100 and something a day, right?
Ms. Page, do you have that?
Daily, it's still $75.
Yeah,
Oh,
because they're,
$75 a day?
yes, ma'am, because they're counted as just certified teachers.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Any more comments? Any concerns? All right.
This is a permanent move on the salary schedule.
Correct. For 12 and 13, 11 is only for this summer.
For the summer, yeah.
Roll call.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Ms. Reverend?
Yes.
Reverend Harris. Ms. Broadway? Ms. Giger?
Yes.
Ms. Broadway?
Yes.
Ms. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. President, I propose finance.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor report, we already did, that's personnel report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Do you have any questions about what you have before you?
Only one change.
So you're good?
We good?
No?
I know the one you hired too.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, this is, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Walston, but I think Tuesday's meeting, we could have done a better job of explaining something, and that falls on Mr. Walston and myself. First off, I want everyone to know that every position in Natchitoches Parish has to be posted. It has to be posted for a certain amount of time. Not only does it have to be posted for a certain amount of time, we then have to interview, and we have to use a rubric for those interviews, and then we have to choose the best candidate. I think for obvious reasons, for very obvious reasons, people assume that things have been done in the reverse order. I want to assure you that if you choose to approve these positions, that Ms. Page, as HR Director, will conduct all of those proceedings in the normal way that aligns with all of our ethics and rules and legal guidelines that are around that. Sometimes things have a momentum of themselves, and you can get lost in things, and we're going to just do better in that regard. So we appreciate y'all's patience with us at times.
Thank y'all all so very much.
Yes, sir.
I would also like to add that I'm only asking really for one job, and that's the grant administrator.
Wait, it's not on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 2.
Back, another extra page.
Oh, okay, I see. Thank you.
I have a question in regards to the hiring. Who, I know that Ms. Paige is the HR person, is that includes yourself and the HR person, and who else, is it like a committee?
Oh, when we do interviews?
Yeah.
It really depends on the position. I mean, obviously you want some expertise in there, so if you're hiring an accountant, you know, you might have Miss Pat in there. If you're hiring, I don't know, a football coach, me and Miss Paige are probably gonna bring other folks in. And we also look at the makeup and the experience and the background, so we have a group that can really reflect the interests of the district as a whole. But that changes really, I think the only person that it doesn't change is Miss Page is always there because, you know, she's the Jedi Master, so.
Thanks.
So, one thing I'd like to clarify is it does say 2 positions, but we're only going to be hiring the grant writer and it could be multiple grant writers. We were going to contract with them as an independent contractor. And that would be because there are different grant writers throughout. Mr. Harris was telling me today that there's several in Campty. Any of the grant writers we would hire based on their communication and contacts that they have or some grant they're made aware of. We wanted to open the field to not just one specific grant writer. I brought Dr. Amy Thompson up here to give an example. That was the only intention. It wasn't to anoint her the grant writer. And I'm sorry that came across. I wasn't meaning that. So the only position I'm really asking for is the grant administrator. And I assure you that if this position does not pan out, does not pay for itself based on external sources of funding, then we will no longer have the position in the future. So, but it is, I think, a great opportunity here to have grants that we are currently not taking advantage of to be brought into our system.
So what's the salary?
Was $32,000?
That's not including benefits.
So Reverend Harris, are we taking the whole personnel report in this together, or are we breaking them up?
No. We're breaking that up. Let me make it clear that we do not have anybody hired at this particular time in that position.
In that position.
Am I right about that?
Yes.
Okay.
But you're wanting to hire the young lady that came.
Certainly she will be considered if she has to apply for it. She is currently a temporary help in trying to get us all our FEMA. She is helping us with FEMA.
So what this would be similar to is sometimes you put someone in a position like an interim principal, but at some point when you remove that interim or that temporary, the position has to be posted. You have to go through the process. And I know from other districts, my experience, sometimes you get that position if you've been interim, even if you've been that interim for a full year and you may have done a good job, but there's always the possibility that someone stronger or someone more qualified can come in and prove better in the interview.
And this is a new position that the board has to approve.
She's correct.
Before you can hire anybody.
Correct.
Harris, I'd like to offer item 2 on the personnel report.
I'll second that offer, Mr. Harris.
It's been motioned by Mr. Benefield and seconded by Mr. Garner. Any other
Are we gonna,
comments or questions?
are we gonna amend it though to where it does just state the grant administrator and removes that position of grant writer?
Right.
Oh, yeah. You need
So
to
we should amend this.
Yeah. You need to amend it.
So we need to amend the notation here to only include the grant administrator.
So let's amend it.
I think that's what your motion was.
That's it.
Okay, cool, cool. So that will be
Any grant writer will be on a half burden basis and it's gonna be self-sufficient, so we're just looking for the grant administrator position.
Can you please say that?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve the grant, the job description and grant administrator position.
Okay, we got a second.
And, excuse me, you got a second out there. Also, the job description for the grant writer, because there's a job description out there for it too.
Also the job description for the grant writer only. Just the job description.
Just the job description.
Yeah, job description, not being a staff.
Probably should have made 2 motions, but that's okay.
As long as we,
Oh, we got it
As
on.
long as we don't fall over the cliff, that's all. All right,
Still got a second?
still got a second?
Yeah, I still second.
Okay, so it's been motion by Mr. Benefield, and seconded by Mr. Garner. Any further questions or comments? Let's do a roll call vote on this one as well.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. Machwara?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Pedro?
Yes.
Ms. Broadway?
Yes.
Ms. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Good work. All right, Ms. Bell.
Okay, item number 1, discuss giving out faculty and staff an extra paycheck and appreciation for their hard work during COVID-19. Mrs. Palmer? Do we have any other?
We just need to discuss how much we can give them and when we can give it and
So,
who's gonna give it or get it.
so I would suggest, and I would ask you to consider forming a subcommittee that would meet over this next month, so we could bring a further fleshed out plan for vote in May.
Why? We just discussing how much to.
Because, well, for example, Ms. Wright mentioned that she was on the legal call this afternoon. One of the things you cannot do in terms of federal funds is you cannot give a flat rate. That's a red flag with them. So there has to be a really deep dive into what they're going to do, who's going to do it, and what they're going to be paid based on each of their job descriptions and things like that nature. I don't believe that it's something we could really flesh out in this time period right now, and I think it deserves more.
Well, y'all have been modeling stuff from all over the parish. So why is it so hard to model another parish who has done this?
So the only parish that I know that's done it is currently in a lawsuit over it, and that's why I'd like to be careful. I'm not against any of this. I'm just saying we have to tread lightly. It has to be done appropriately, and I believe that's a few meetings over the next few weeks, a couple hours each, where we look at the legal ramifications, we look at the economic ramifications, we look at all that, and we come up with a plan that addresses all those issues.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to be on that board, and I'd like for some people that
Definitely
Where
Ms.
you
Palmer.
Yes.
I would think Ms. Tanki would definitely want to be on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ms. Pedro, would you like to be on that?
Sure.
Anyone else?
I volunteer.
Okay, and so I tell you what, Mr. Wascom, can you get in touch, send an email to the board members at some times that you and Ms. Wright and myself can meet with this subcommittee? Because I think those are the three folks that really, and actually, we probably need to throw this page into that.
So welcome to the committee, Mr. Chairman. I'll be glad to do that. How many board members maximum can we have? 5?
Yeah.
5. So which 5 board members?
Phelps, Palmer, Wasco, Harris, and Pedro.
I'm not a board member, so you can leave me on.
Oh, yeah, you're not a board member.
But I will be there.
Ms. McGaskey.
Ms. McGaskey.
Okay. And we can probably have one of these meetings as early as next week, I would think. We just have to look at our schedules, and we'll send y'all something tomorrow with some possible dates.
Is it better in the evening or mornings?
I'm flexible, so whenever Ms. Palmer is available.
Mornings.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll send you a couple dates for next week, mornings, and we'll do that tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Item number 2, discussion of ITAP and introduction of new economic development director. We did have that on Tuesday. But, so that concludes the executive report. But I have a question. Do we have graduation dates yet for the high schools?
They do, and we can put those out on social media for y'all tomorrow, and I can email y'all tomorrow with those dates. I
I
know
don't keep people asking.
they're back to back to back, and I think they're doing it on their social media per school. But if I tell you right now, I know I'm gonna transpose the dates, so.
But in person, like,
Yeah, well, I believe they're all still utilizing,
limited tickets.
yeah, limited tickets and doing some stuff at the football stadium, I believe. But again, I'll shoot y'all an email with all the details, and then we'll do some social media, so that way folks can, or we can put it on the website. I think that'd probably be the best thing to do, is put the website and do a social media post to direct them to the website.
All right.
I'll move you adjourn.
All right.